The death toll in Sumy has risen to 4, the regional military administration reported. A 43-year-old man who was in critical condition died in a hospital. His 7-year-old daughter remains seriously injured. In total, over 20 people were wounded in a Russian strike on the center of Sumy on Tuesday. According to preliminary reports, around 9 a.m. there were 5 strikes carried out using long-range multiple launch rocket systems. The State Emergency Service reported that in one of the city's districts, a shell hit the roadway, causing a car to catch fire. In another neighborhood, an apartment building, 3 private houses, a warehouse, a garage, several vehicles, and one of the hospital buildings were damaged. Commenting on the Russian attack, the Ukrainian president stressed that it was a completely deliberate strike on civilians. He emphasized that not a single day goes by without Russia targeting Ukrainian towns and villages, adding that without international pressure, Putin will not agree even to a ceasefire. The memorandum handed over by the Russian side in Istanbul consists of 3 parts, including 2 scenarios for reaching a ceasefire. The document was published by Russian state media shortly after the talks between the Ukrainian and Russian delegations concluded. According to the first ceasefire proposal, Kyiv would begin the gradual withdrawal of its forces from 4 regions – Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. Kyiv would also be required to pull its military back to a mutually agreed distance from Russia's borders. The second option, referred to as a package proposal, includes a number of conditions, among them a ban on mobilization and the start of demobilization in Ukraine, a halt to international supplies of weapons, intelligence and satellite communications to Kyiv, and a holding of presidential and parliamentary elections within 100 days of lifting martial law in Ukraine. The first section of the Russian document outlines the terms Moscow considers part of a final settlement. It consists of 12 points, including international recognition of Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia regions as part of the Russian Federation and the complete withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from these territories, Ukraine's commitment to a neutral status, refraining from joining military alliances or hosting foreign troops, restrictions on the size and operations of Ukraine's military, a waiver of any war reparations. The Ukrainian delegation handed over to the Russian side a list of nearly 400 children whom Kyiv is seeking to bring home. This was reported by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during an online briefing on Monday. However, the Russian delegation agreed to work on the return of only 10 of them. Regarding the children, we handed over a list of almost 400 children to the Russians, and they promised us to work out something in this field, up to 10 children. This is what their vision on humanitarian issues looks like. Ukraine's general staff updated its official count of destroyed Russian aircraft, adding 41 new planes to the tally following a spiderweb operation conducted deep inside Russian territory by the Security Service of Ukraine. The new data was published at 4 p.m. on June 3rd. Earlier that same day, the General Staff posted an update indicating 12 aircraft had been destroyed in the first revision to Russia's aircraft loss count since the launch of Ukraine's spiderweb operation. However, after verifying all the information, this number was revised upward to 41. According to the latest figures, Russia has now lost a total of 413 military aircraft since the start of its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. The Security Service of Ukraine carried out a months-long special operation, striking the Crimean Bridge for the 3rd time, this time underwater. According to the statement on the official Telegram page, at 4:44 a.m., the first blast rocked the bridge, severely damaging underwater supply pillars with an estimated 1,100 kilograms of TNT-equivalent explosives. No civilian casualties were reported. The head of the security service emphasized that the Crimean Bridge is considered a completely legitimate target, especially since the Russian forces used it as a logistical artery to supply its troops. An overnight drone attack by Russian forces struck multiple regions of Ukraine. 4 people were injured in Odessa when the city came under heavy drone assault. According to the mayor of Odessa, residential buildings and civilian infrastructure were damaged, and several vehicles caught fire. In Chernihiv, the attack triggered multiple fires, causing destruction. 5 civilians were wounded, according to the State Emergency Service. In the Kharkiv region, Russian drones targeted a postal terminal in the suburbs, igniting a massive fire. 2 warehouses buildings and several shipping containers were engulfed in flames, covering a total area of approximately 3,000 square meters. BALTOPS 25 military drills will begin in the Baltic Sea on June 5th, involving 16 NATO allies, more than 40 ships, 25 aircraft and nearly 9,000 personnel. Led by the United States, the alliance exercise will include training across a broad range of capabilities: amphibious operations, naval gunnery, air defense, anti-submarine warfare, mine countermeasures, explosive ordnance disposal, and medical response. Unmanned surface and underwater vehicles will also be integrated into various operational scenarios.
Likewise, BALTOPS stands as the premier annual joint multinational maritime-focused exercise in the Baltic Sea. And this exercise continually adapts to meet current and emerging regional security demands of the Baltic region, bringing together participating nations in a realistic training environment to ensure maritime stability and European economic prosperity.
Poland's newly elected president, Karol Nawrocki, voiced support for strengthening ties with Ukraine. On his X page, Nawrocki responded to a congratulatory message from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who expressed hope for productive cooperation with the incoming Polish leader. Nawrocki stated that he looks forward to continued partnership between the two countries, based on mutual respect and understanding. According to him, this requires not only meaningful dialogue, but also the resolution of present historical issues. In his post, Nawrocki also underscored Poland's unwavering support for Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression.